And we are live. Hello, everybody. Good morning and welcome to Forever Sports. It is time for the Forever Sports Community Team Predictor, which means that basically throughout the next sort of hour, 45 minutes, we're going to be going through 1 through to 15 and picking our predicted Springbok side that Rassie Erasmus will name later on today. This is not a what we want to see, this is what we think we are going to see situation. And basically what happens is we're going to put a poll up for every single position, and we're going to vote on the player that we think is going to be named in that position. We're going to build our team, and we're going to submit that. Now, actually, last week, our FS community team wasn't terrible. I think it came about 4th in the Team Prediction League on the Forever Sports League. So was a decent day at the office as far as our predictions were going. The question is, what can we do today, and how close can we get to getting the prediction for Rassie Erasmus right? And I think it's going to be very interesting to sort of see the couple of contentions ones maybe in terms of picking. And I think that the front row is going to be an interesting one. I think that the lock pairing could be quite an interesting one, as well as potentially the center pairing and the back three. So those are the positions who I think are going to be potentially up for a good debate. And I think that we're going to... I think, that's when I picked my team yesterday, for example. Those were the kind of positions where I thought that that I might have things wrong, and that was sort of where I struggled in terms of picking my team with regard to get to sort of that situation. So we're going to go through 1 through to 15, and every single position we're going to put a poll out. It was going to vote on the poll, and then we're going to vote on it, and we'll put that person into the team itself. So Nathaniel Espanol, expert of the team out earlier, saying in Klabakanye, Marks, Volko, the biggest part of first up is already there. You've got 2 tight heads. Nasanade Klabakanye does not play loose head. Then goes Etzebeth, Norkia, Khaleesi, Detoy, Visa, Reinach, Moni. That's an interesting shout. Kurt Lawrence, Damien Delendi, Kane Moody, Chesson Colby, and Willemse. I don't think it's a bad team. Obviously, you just need to find a loose head versus a tight head there, as Asanati and Klabakanya doesn't actually cover loose head at this stage. Ricky Lowe says reserves Skrobela, Fenta, Wilco Lowe, Arcus Neyman, Esther Hazen, Quacker Smith, Grant Williams, Pollard. Yeah, lots of people calling the Pollard shout versus Moni Liebach. I'll be interested to see what Rassie Erasmus does, because I think we saw against, New Zealand that second test that he is willing to go with Moni Liebach and Sasha continuously as the two to get the job done. And I'd really like to see him actually be brave enough to do it again this weekend, because I think that we've got to back the plan, and I think that if we're going to go with all of this, then we can. Mr. Monkey, once again, coming in with absolutely no factual information whatsoever. Asanate Klabakanye pay and is in the squad and is in line for selection. So thanks for the false news shout-out of the day. Always appreciate coming in and adding a very little value. But let's get into the selection, shall we? I'm going to start with Luce, which is going to be a very interesting one. Who's going to take over for Oxen chair? So the question is, who starts at number 1? And your options are Bowen Venter, Gerard Steenekamp, as well as Thomas du Toit, if they do decide to deploy him in that loose head role, which I've kind of picked him there. Not entirely sure it's correct, but I'm very in between as to where we should go. To be honest. So Josh says, a low-key think Wilco should start. We need dominance with Ox gone. I think Wilco could balance it out again. Well, that's kind of why I went Thomas du Toit, Lucid, Malcolm Marks, and Wilco Low, because I think that gives us the best opportunity at getting decent scrum dominance from the get-go. You bring Asanati off the bench alongside Gerard Steenekamp. I think you still get dominance. The only thing people are talking about, and I hear it, and don't think it's a bad shout, is that if you sort of go Gerard Steenekamp, Jan Krobler, Wilco Low, that is the Bulls scrum. So those are 4 front or 3 front rows who are aligned with each other and play with each other, understand each other very, very well. So there is obviously that aspect to it as well. So people, while we sort of vote and get our first player in here, please make sure we want to try and get at least 15, 16 votes as we sort of start this bit slowly and we'll build up. Please do smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. I saw that we had a member earlier. So welcome to the members club. If you'd like to join the members club, as mentioned, we're trying to get up to 300 members by the end of the year, as well as 100,000 subscribers. So please do consider joining the members club. And we, basically 1.6 members per day. I think we might be slightly behind that. It's probably about close to 2 members per day, but we did have a good Saturday last week. So shout out to everybody who did become a member, and we are now sitting on just over 200 members. Which is really cool. So now we're going to try to get 100 members in the last 2 months, basically. So please do consider becoming a member if you have not already. It's a small nominal amount, but it really does support the channel. And so Mr. Monkey once again coming with just non-factual information. So congrats for providing zero value, as per usual, to the chat. And yeah, I mean, I just remember when you said that with the All Blacks going to smash us, and then we embarrassed you guys in your own backyard. SVG says the Toy and Klapperkanja to start with Steenekamp and Low in the second half. Not adverse to that selection either. And yeah, I think a lot of people are basically saying that Thomas Toy will likely start. Will likely be involved in the in tight head. I mean, loose fathers. Elizabeth says, what if they go Bow and Kobler, Portland just to third players, the deep end, and backing them to the experience? So the only reason I don't think that would happen is I think that Rassie basically said that he's treating Ireland as well as France as playoff games. So these aren't, inverted commas, development games for him. So I don't think we're going to see Zachary Portland playing, for example. I mean, we might, and it'd be pretty cool if we do. But I think that we are treating them as playoff games, which is why a lot of people are talking about the Handré Pollard selection, because, you know, in a World Cup semi-final right now, would you really leave out Handré Pollard? Could you really leave out Handré Pollard? And a lot of reasons why you could say, no, you can't leave out somebody like a Handré Pollard. Daniel Adams says, I think Lowe should come off the bench. He's such a good impact. And he says, only worry about Toy scrum dominance against the French pack. Well, we've got up to 20 votes, so we're going to end the poll over there, and Gerard Steenekamp is going to be our first player into our side. So the next one we're going to talk about is who starts at number 2, and weirdly enough, we still haven't called up a hooker. So basically, we are saying that we are happy with Johan Grobelaar, Malcolm Marx, and if really needs be, we've got Malcolm Starden, who I'll actually put as an option, seeing as he technically is an option within the squad itself, and has covered hooker. Doesn't start a hooker, but he has covered hooker. So, Alex DePrio saying, can we shift the Toy to Lucid? Well, I have in my team, just to try and keep Gerard Steenekamp as an impact player. You could go Bowen Fenter as well. I don't think there's much for muchness with regards to the sort of inverted commas scrum dominance you're going to get from the two of them. I don't think that Bowen Fenter, you know, despite playing more loose head games in the last year, is going to be much more dominant than what Thomas du Toit would be. Thomas Toy got a little bit of flack for a couple of quiet games from a scrum point of view, but in the last sort of month of that rugby championship, really stood up at tight head and did provide that scrum dominance. So yeah, I think that he definitely quieted out a lot of his critics and the likes of that. So at the moment, we've got to try and vote for. I'm going to try and get over 20 votes here, people. That's less than 50% of the people watching. And as I said, please do make sure you smash like on the video. We've always got less than 10% often of the amount of people voting that we do. I mean, like the video that we actually have watching. So you guys are in a bad habit of not liking the video, as well as you know, also subscribing as well. I mean, if we go look, you want to see a fun fact whilst everybody gets voting in terms of why we talk about people who don't subscribe to the channel, is if we look at the last 28 days, for example, 77% of our views come from people who are not subscribed, which means that we do have well over 100,000 people who watch, 100,000 subscribe. We should have well over 100,000 subscribers, but we don't, because people don't subscribe. So if you guys are not subscribed, please make sure you go and subscribe. In the meantime, we are going to put Malcolm Marx into our side. A pretty straightforward vote, really, there. Joshua says, I think we're going with 1 Steenkamp, 2 Marks, 3 Detroit, 4 Eben, 5 Nokia, Khaleesi, Peter Steph, Visa. Ricky Lowe says, to think in 2023 we struggled to get hookers. Now we have Marks, Chobola, Vessels, and Jan Hendrik for the next cycle. Well, I suppose Jan Hendrik is kind of Vessels. But yeah, we've got, and that's not to include the likes of a Bong Yebenambi, who's still around, for example. I'm assuming you mean Marnus. Instead of Vessels and Jan Hendrik. Yeah, there we go, clarifying that. But yeah, we do. And that's, to be fair, I don't think it's, that's not a mistake. We're cognizant of the positions that we were short on. So, for example, we've really upped our number 3 stocks when you think that in the last year, Neertling for sure, Asnat and Tlabakanya, Zach Porthen. That's 3 new loose heads into the mix that we brought in, and Thomas Latoy and Wilco Low, who've been brought back. So we basically brought 5 loose heads into the mix that were involved in 2023 within the last year, because tight head, because tight head was a position of concern. Hooker was a position of concern, and so we brought in Johan Chobola. We gave a debut to Andre Hugo Venter. We've seen Marnus van der Merwe getting involved, Jan Vessels getting a chance. So we very much identified where the problem positions are. Even at Flower, for example, we've now got 3 out-and-out fly halves, David Williams as an option as well. So it's definitely going to work on for the Boks to strengthen very specific positions. Even in the number 4 jersey, for example, we've got Jean Clay now, we've got Salman Murat, we've got Kubas Visa, looked at options there to try and back up Eben Etzema. But anyway, we need to try and ask who starts at number 3. Options being Wilco Low, Thomas de Torx, we didn't put him at loose head. We've got Asanate in Kanye. And we have got Zachary Porthen. So those are your options at tight head. Go and vote, and we'll close the votes after we get past 30 votes, people. 30 votes, and we'll do that. Illustrator says, why can't props easily switch sides? Is the difference between scrumming at loose head versus tight head? Their main point is going forward right. There is a very, very big difference between loose head and tight head. So I don't think I've got the technical ability to be able to completely describe it appropriately, but it is a very big scrummaging difference between having your head being on the outside, for example, where you have to be very cognizant of being of scrummaging in. For example, you have to make sure you're going straight. Whereas, obviously, if you're in between 2 people, you're going to have pressure on both sides, for example, versus going straight, versus a loose head where you don't have that external force coming from the right hand side or the left side, depending on where you are. It's actually always the right hand side. So there are also more intricate details. I've never scrummed in the front row, so I can't tell you exactly what it feels like or what the big differences are. But from the conversations I have had with coaches, there is a very big difference, and that's why it's a very big skill to be able to switch between the two, which is why I think something like Trevor Nyakane, especially when you think that he's had some seasons at tight head, then seasons at loose head, and he's done the business at the Boks as well, at both positions, very, very well. It's a special type of player that can do that. And that's why a lot of tight heads, we had a bit of a tight head crisis in this country. Thomas Toy came through as a loose head. Trevor Nyakane came through as a loose head. And at one stage, we just had no tight heads. So we had to start converting these guys into tight heads. And Thomas Toy is now an out-and-out tight head, really, these days, from a club perspective. But, and even Trevor, has played a lot more at 3 recently for club versus at 1. But yeah, they've had to adapt over the years and had to sometimes then learn how to play in the different positions. Stone says, I think Lurt will start at 5 for the more physical aspect he brings. Kirkby says, have a funny feeling Marnie will start. He has a point to prove against France after being subbed at the World Cup. Rassie knows this. Ricky Lowe says, yes, listening to prop experts, they always put emphasis on what a big difference there is between 1 and 3. So right now we've got over our 30 votes, and we are going to, we have to keep voting actually, because at the moment it's 42% each for Wilco Low and Thomas Toy. So we need a couple of extra votes before we can put one of them into our side, because at the moment they are literally neck and neck. So get a couple more votes and people so we can try and split that neck and neck, and then we can go into our locks and decide who is going to feature there. So please do keep voting. And Joshua says, I want Grant and Liebach to start this week. Well, I'd be surprised. it's going to be interesting to sort of see exactly what we do go with. But yeah, we do finally have a split vote. So thank you for that person who did vote. And we are going to put Thomas du Toit in to number 3 jersey. So I think everybody backing Vilcolo to come off the bench. Ricky Lewis, I remember 2009 we struggled to get world-class tight heads. We ended up playing John Smith tight. Exactly. I think that's where a lot of then there was a big push to try and get more tight heads going. Who starts at number 4? Your options: Evan Etzebeth. We're assuming that John Klein is fit. We've seen Luat Diaga play there as well. And we also see Archie Snyman play there as well. So those are your options in the number 4 jersey. So at the moment, our front row is Gerard Stenekamp, Malcolm Marx, and Thomas du Toit. I'd be surprised if that was our front row, to be perfectly honest. I think that my gut says Gerard Stenekamp comes off the bench. Maybe he starts, but he's played 12 games for the Boks. He's played 12 appearances off the bench. He's a bit like Vincent Koch, where he's just always been a kind of an impact player so far. Yes, it's a short test career, but still. 12 games, 12 bench appearances kind of tells you that's kind of his role. So maybe they'll now sit there and say, well, let's see if you can do the oxen chair starting role. My gut says it's probably safer to go Thomas du Toit or Bone Fent as a starter and bring on Gerard Stenekamp as your impact player in that sort of second half. But we could all be completely wrong. So who knows? But yeah, get the votes in, people. We want to try and get up to over 30 votes. Over 70 people watching, by the way. Still only 15 likes, but we're getting there slowly. Malabonga says Grant and Sasha might be very interesting. Kobus and Mani off the bench. I think they'll keep them as combinations, to be honest. I think it'll be my gut says it's going to be Kobus and Sasha to start, and then Nicola Grant and either Mani or pull it off the bench, unless we go completely left field and we start like Moyne van der Berg next to Andre Pollard. But I'd be surprised. And Ricky Lowe says, I have Moody at 13 in my team, but the more I think of it, the more I'm leaning to Creel for defense position reasons, especially with those dangerous wings of France on the outside. Speaking of your own team, people, please make sure you go and get your teams in. I've got a team I'm going to show you a bit later. Christian sent his team in, and we're going to have a look at it as well. So if you guys want to, you can send your team in to YouTube at favouritesportsmedia.com. Go to mypicks.app, pick your team. You can go and generate the image and share it with us. That's kind of the whole point, to be able to sort of generate that image and share with your mates and let them know what you think is going to be the team or what you're predicting Rassie Erasmus to do. So it says we have a fullback cross, Sash at fullback for contact, put Rassie on the telecom. I don't know why we say we have fullback crisis. I think the fullbacks are there. We just haven't really picked them. But obviously, no fussy. Willie LaRue kind of going over the hill. I just don't understand how Klein Horns will get into this squad. He's been so good for a long time. He had he got a yellow card on debut. He also scored a try on debut. And he even spoke about the fact that they wanted to get him involved for the Argentina games and give him that game time. So I'm very surprised not in the mix because I just think he's playing so well at the moment. Why wouldn't you? So everybody, this goes to the number 4. We're now going to ask who starts at number 5. Your options being Ruin Nokia, Franco Mostert, Luat Diaga, and Archie Snyman can also do a job there at 5. Right, there are your options. Go and get voting. As mentioned, we want to try to get over 30 votes for each of these. And Jean Day says, what are the chances that Rassie plays Sashfai Mngomezulu from the bench when France is gassed? He could. I personally think with the form he's in, the way he's playing, you've got to just play him. I think you got to back him from the start and just see what happens. And if you have to hook him, you have to hook him. And that's why there might be a tendency or a feel to put Pollard on the bench as in a case of emergency, break glass sort of situation. I'd love to see them really back Money. I really would. I think he's playing some of the best rugby he's ever played for the Boks, and I think that kind of needs to be rewarded. Dylan says, I feel like Rassie will want to play a team that France doesn't know very well. That might be why he's delaying the team announcement. We could see some interesting picks. Well, also, we're going to pick after the team announcement. So France are announcing their team in the next hour or two, whereas we're only announcing it at 3 o'clock. So there's every chance that we're waiting to see what France pick, and then we might even adjust the team itself. And that maybe might be one of the big reasons why we haven't, we have, inverted commas, delayed the team announcement. Maybe waiting to see exactly what France pick, and then we kind of go with our team based on that. So there's lots and lots of potential mind games going on at the moment. So yeah, we need over 30 votes, people. It's very, very close between Roanoke here and Lord Diago, who might start in the number 5 jersey. 100 reckons start Sasha. I agree. I would. I think with the confidence he's playing, and you've got to get him going into this match. Give him the keys. When somebody's playing like that with that kind of confidence, and especially, he's done it against Argentina, he's done it against Japan. He had a reasonable game against, if not, against the All Blacks, and obviously played against All Blacks last year. We needed to get him into these pressure situations. We need to get him into the pressure cooker and see if he can keep doing what he's doing in these situations. So I think this is the perfect opportunity to give him that exposure, to play at a hostile environment, away from home, different conditions to what you're used to. Can he still affect the game in the way that he has been doing it? So we are over 30 votes. We're going to end up the poll there. And going to number 5 jersey is Roanoke here. And that's what we reckon. I've got him in my team. I must admit, I'm sure they're very tempted to go with Lewis, the way he played last weekend. Had that bit of physicality, bit of brawn. But we have decided that it's going to be Roanoke here. And your option at 6 are Sia Khaleesi, Marco van Staden, and Kwagga Smith. So go and get your votes in for the number 6 jersey. And I think we all know what the answer is. And if he is named, he will make up his 100th test, will Sia Khaleesi, if he gets that start this weekend. What a player. What a servant to South African rugby. And so cool, after quite a weird test career. It was sometimes people thought he didn't get the opportunities he deserved at the time. Then he started becoming a regular. Then Rassie Erasmus backed him as captain. And internally, I think it was quite a popular decision. He had faced so much criticism, and then became one of the best players in the world at this stage. Then also struggled at the Sharks. Then had the knee injury, for example. He had to come back, and he's led the Boks to back-to-back World Cups. And Dan Biggar was talking about him and just saying, he's just he's probably one of the best captains around. He said not even just a captain, he said as a player, he's one of the top players in the world. He said, and that the fact that he plays 65 minutes and goes off is just a testament to the Boks depth, of the fact that they have also got so much trust in their structures that they can afford to take off their captain in those positions and back those remaining on the field to get the job done. So at 97% of the votes, we are going to throw in Sia Khaleesi in the number 6 jersey. And our next one is going to be who starts 7. Also pretty straight. I mean, the back three, I think we know it's pretty locked on. Be very surprised if it's not this back three. But your options are Peter Steph, the toy, Ben, Jason, Dixon, and we always have to throw in a Kwagga Smith because he covers all 3. And let's put in a Franco Moss as well. Excuse me. Seeing as he did play there last weekend. Right, there's your options for number 7. Go and get your votes in. As I said, we got to get up to over 30 votes, and then we'll complete that. Josh says at the time he was also Stormers captain, playing his best rugby. Yeah, I mean, I think that he was always the captain material. We saw it at the Stormers. But I think Russ was very aware of how historic it was when he named him as the Springbok captain in the number 6 jersey, iconic jersey, the first black captain that South Africa's ever had. And I think the big question was he going to be able to rise to it, or was it going to become a burden? Because some people, we've seen in the past, have been given the captaincy and it's been not necessarily a burden, but it's been a weight that they've struggled with sometimes. Other players, I think he's a player that he rises up with the captaincy armband. I think that the captaincy brings out the best in him, the way he plays, the way he, lifts his game. He feels that, and I think he's understand the biggest thing. I think the biggest strength that Sia Khaleesi has in both his rugby game as well as his captaincy is his self-awareness, and to understand where he needs to speak, for example, when he needs to lean on other people, and when he needs to take charge versus when he's happy to let other people take charge. I think that awareness is such a valuable skill in a leader, to understand that you are not the be all and end all, and you are not always the one that's the right got to say it. And it looked like Chase the Sun, for example, where Peter Steph, the toy, suddenly lost his temper, and it's the awareness of saying, right, well, something like that. There we go. We don't have to say anything more. He said it. Let's go. And he even said there's times, for example, we said, right, Dwayne, you tell us what's going on. For example, you speak. So it's that self-awareness that I think it makes him such a valuable player. But anyway, we've got 100% vote here for Pieter-Steph du Toit. It doesn't get much easier than that, doesn't it, in terms of choosing, the current World Player of the Year. And then for me, this is also pretty straightforward at selection. Who starts at number 8? Jasper Wiese, Quacker Smith. Those are really only 2 options. Herman says, Joshua says, Pieter-Steph du Toit has to start. That's why we rested him. And Herman says, selection for the France test should be considered with Rassie's planning for the tests against Ireland, Italy, and not forgetting the type of test planned for Wales. I personally think you probably find they had the teams pretty mapped out before they even left, and they probably even told the sort of sides, this is kind of the teams that we're going to potentially pick, for example. Things obviously might change with regards to injuries and the likes of that, but this is kind of where we are. These are the likely teams. This is how things might change. And, they generally do that. They generally map out the entire 5 games. So they'll say, right, France, Ireland, they'll probably start with those. Right, who plays against France, who plays against Ireland. Right, based on that, who then plays against, Italy, who plays against Japan, and who plays against Wales, given the fact that those 2 are outside the test window. So you've got different types of players available for that. For example, Zachary Porthen playing against Japan. Lots of people saying that Bone Fenter should have played against Japan, not Oxenchair, and then he wouldn't have been injured. But, it's, hindsight's 2020 vision, to be honest. And Heath Curry says, can't wait to see Cam Honeycomb and Albert Lowe start challenging for the 8 jersey again. Yeah, and especially given the fact that I think Jasper Wiese has locked that jersey down this year with some of his performances. So he's basically, he's drawn a target on his back in terms of, well, this jersey is mine. Come get it. Come and get it. And I, as you say, I can't wait to see them go say, fine, we're going to try and come and get it. Because that's what you want to see. You want to see people absolutely banging down the door, and yet the door's just, staying closed because Jasper Wiese is on the other side of it. That's what we want to see. Josh says, should call up Marnus. Marks has played a lot of Springbok games the last few months. Yeah, but to be fair, it's the only rugby he's had to play. So since May, he's probably played 10 games. It's not a lot of rugby. To be honest, that's why everybody kept saying Pieter-Steph du Toit needed a rest. He didn't. Whatever he's played for the Boks this year, which is maybe 9 games, maybe 10 games. That's the only rugby he's played. So to have played 9 matches in 11 months is less than a match a month. So for example, he's something that does not need rest. Heinrich says, ask what time the dance is today. It's 3 o'clock, as far as we understand. It might be a bit earlier. If it is, we'll go live a bit earlier. But that is the time that we have been indicated. Anyway, so we need to ask who is going to start at 9. Who starts at number 9? Your options being Kobus Reinach, Grant Williams, and Morne van den Berg. Right, so go get your options into your number 9. Hendrik says, Ulrich is future 6. I actually agree. I think Cameron Honeycomb could be the future number 6. I think that you look at the age profiles of the players and post-Siya Kolisi, I think a loose year of Honeycomb, Pieter-Steph du Toit probably moves on, but somewhere like Vincent Tuka or Ben Jason Dixon and Jasper Wiese at 8th man, and Albert Lowe at 8 or Albert Lowe at 7, for example. But I think Honeycomb could really be a solution at 6. I think he's got the entire skill set. He could be at 8, for example, but number 6 is actually really where we're short at the moment. You've got Malcolm starting and Siya Kolisi. After that, they're going to look at Renzo du Plessis. He's a good player, but at the time we got the call out to the Bok camp, he wasn't even starting for the Lions. So number 6 is a problem. We just touch wood. Thankfully, Siya Kolisi, after that injury, has been surprisingly available. Usually after a knee injury, that kind of become an issue to re-injure that knee. And he has missed a couple of games last year. Malcolm starting on an extended run, but the 2 of them have been available quite consistently. Versus, for example, you look at fullback, and had Fassi injured, you had Willemse injured. We've had Willie LaRue in and out. We've had certain positions, 8th man, for example, where every single person in the cat keeps getting injured. As soon as you even relate to the number 8, all of a sudden you are start. Malabonga says Honeycomb needs to take CS spot. Johnny North says Grant might be a good choice as he finds those pockets in the defense. Might be good against those heavy French forwards. Well, at this stage, it's not going to be Grant Williams because we've got 42 votes and everyone's going with Kobus Reinach to start. Next one's who starts at 10. And your options are Sasha Famigoma Zulu, Pollard, I'm just going to keep it a bit shorter with the names. And Lebuck. Right. So if we do look at our pack, Stilica, Marks, Thomas Sawyer, I'd be surprised. I could be very wrong. And often I am wrong. But would be surprised if that's our starting front row. I think that the lock pairing is 50-50. I think it's either Ebenezer with Ruben Okia or Ebenezer with Lua Diago. Those, for me, are the only options at this stage. The back row is locked in. So I think that we might be one, maybe two off on the pack. We could be three off if they choose to go Volko low and like Bone Fencer to start, which again, I'd be surprised. We might be one off or two off in terms of Thomas Toy being started on the right position, which, by the way, when it comes to predicting these teams, you get a point for getting the play in the starting lineup, and you get an additional point if they're in the right position. So, for example, if you pick Sasha at 10 and Sasha starts at 15, you still get a point for him being in the side, but you don't get the point for him being at 10. So, yeah, and then let me know, which of you guys, let's do a bit of a chicken. Everybody send that raised emoji or say locked. Let's go with locked in. Comment locked in if you have done your team prediction. And if you haven't, why haven't you? It's my Pickstart app. It doesn't take long. Go and join the Forever Sports League. So let's do a bit of a train whilst we'll do it for the next vote. Because we're really going to put Sasha in. When we do the vote for 12, we're going to do a check-in to see who has done their picks. In the meantime, I'm going to put Sasha in there. So I'm going to ask who starts at 12. Your options: Damien De Lindy, Damien Willemse, Andre Esterhazen, and let's throw in Ethan Hooker for shits and giggles. But yeah, let's do this. Yeah, so everybody comment locked in if you've done your picks. So Malabongwe, even throwing in the emojis, he's locked in. Mad Fishing has locked in. Heath Curry says he's locked in. So let me know if you guys have done your predictions. Comment locked in, and if you haven't, go and do them now. Even if you let me know you're doing them now, so we can then see that you're gonna get them locked in. But yeah, let's see how many other people we've got. I'd love to see at least 10. I'd actually love to see 20 people tell me where they've done this, because we built this platform for you guys. So I'd really like you guys to get involved and start using it. So at the moment, we've got 3 people locked in. Surely there are more people that are locked in. I am seeing that there have been a couple of signups today. We've had, yesterday we had, I think, over 30 odd team predictions. We want to try and double that up today. So, yeah, let me know if you have done your side. Man Africa SA saying locked in. Joshua Pennington's also locked in as well. So we've got 5. Willem is also locked in. 6. Come on, people. Let's get to 20 people that have done their side. Surely there are more than that. I mean, there's 91 people watching. I'd like to see 90 people having locked in their team predictions on my Pickstart.app. And also let me know what you're thinking of it. Are you enjoying it? What are the features that we can bring later? We're bringing other sports in. For example, we're going to have a big December of cricket, which is going to be quite interesting to do. But, I'm almost up to 10 people who have confirmed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 6 people who have locked in there. Then Bernard Burt is also now locked in, so that's number 7. And we're going to... Matt Fishing is picking, there he goes. So he's picking it as he goes. So he's yet to lock in, but locking in as we talk. And in the meantime, I'll put Damien Dale in there. But I still want to go on my locked in train here. I still want to try and get up to at least 10 people that are confirming they have done their picks. So please do comment locked in if you have done your pick on my picks, your prediction on my Pickstart.app. And that whilst I set up our 13 poll. And Ethan Hooker, again, unlikely, but got to add him in there. So Daniel says, who's your favorite player, Steve? In the box squad or in general? I kind of have like flavor of the month players, really, isn't it? So yeah, it's an interesting one. I think in the box squad currently, my favorite players. I love Marnie. I absolutely love watching him play rugby. I just, to see the way he just watches and sees the game is, I think, is so much fun. Him and Willems are probably my 2 favorites. Obviously, love watching Sasha, for example. Love Jesper Wiese. He's brutal. Asna de Klapper Kanya for me is a cult here. He's my favorite Lions player. Obviously, Franco Masters, Malcolm Mark, my old Lions boys. But I think right now, Mani and Damien are just the two that I perk up when I watch them for different reasons. Sasha, I think, has got the unpredictability, but I just love watching the way Mani just sees the game, the passes he throws, the way he controls things, communication, for example. I've watched him live, and it's just the way he just moves and sees it. I just love watching him. I really, really do. Alex Dupree is also locked in, so good to see. I think it's about 9 people we've confirmed that have locked in. So those of you who haven't, I mean, that's not even 10% people. Come on, people. It's just 10% in the dot, actually. You got to get those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. A very interesting poll, by the way, on the who starts at 13. How is the ref? It's Angus Gardner. So he's one of the best refs in the world, I suppose, in terms of the games he gets, the likes of that. I'm just hoping he has a quiet game. And what I always mean by a quiet game from a referee, well, as you put Jesse Krill into hooker, is that we just don't have to talk about him lots. And hopefully there aren't too many controversial calls. And Jean is also locked in. So there we go. We've got Matt Fishing, what you can do. So basically those positions are done based on what they've been playing previously. So what you can do is if you want to add Ethan Hooker, for example, on the top there, it goes, where it says center, you can actually click that and select all the different positions. So you actually could, and I'll show you, if you wanted to, put Asante Tlabakanya on the wing. If you wanted to, you could. So just at the top there is a drop down, or you can search by the name as well. So even if it's so, we try to put them into positions just to make it easier to find. But obviously, Caden Moody is now more of a center, and Ethan Hooker City more of a wing, for example. You don't have Malcolm starting listed as a hooker as an option because you have to assign them somewhere. But those are just basically shortcuts. You can go and then check the rest of the team. So you can, as I showed you, put Asnat and Tlabakanya in at wing. But now we actually need to decide who starts in the wing. So who starts at 11? Options: Ethan Hooker, Kurt Lee, Orange, Cheslin, Colby, or Edville van der Merwe. So there we go, and let me know what your votes are. I'm very interested to see what this vote. I think this is going to be one of the interesting votes and one of the interesting picks, really, because to a certain degree, how do you not pick Kurt Lawrence after a man of the match performance last week? How do you drop Ethan Hooker of the way he's played so far this year? Ed van der Merwe, a bit of an unknown. Maybe he's an option. Cheslin Colby, we all know that he's world class and delivers week in, week out. So it's going to be an interesting one to see how what the decision is from our voting point of view, as well as what the decision is from Rassie himself. So Jean says that Damon Williams still injured. He is in theory fit to go. We'll wait to see if he gets named. Jean in North Knox, can you imagine if O'Keefe was the ref? SVG says future Springbok front 8. Janet Vessels, Ethan Bester, Asnat Tlabakanya, Kubus Visa, JF Van Heerden, Cameron Hanekom, Vincent Suka, and Ulrich Lowe. Not a bad shout at all. I like the Ethan Bester shots, an interesting one. Nice youngster coming through. Also think that Inabelele from the Bulls, very talented young player as well. I think that he'll get fast-tracked reasonably quickly. Obviously, also Bata Tlakani is also going to come through. I'm going to see his again. Bless me. Herman says, my name is Herman, and I just got locked in. Love it, Herman. Absolutely love it. Yeah, I'm seeing some of the sign-ups. All you sneaky guys that haven't signed up for my picks yet, I'm seeing you guys. I'm checking you here on the back end. But glad to see you are getting involved. We've got quite a few signs coming up, so get your teams locked in and email them to me. As I'm going to look at Christians in a bit. As please, can you give an update on the French side? I'm going to do a video when this team comes out, which is in the next hour or two, and we'll actually go through it and sort of talk about the injuries, for example, couple of injuries in that French side. Jean Wright says, should we experiment Sasha at fullback, Liebach at 10? Manafka says, we're going to have an all-winger back 3 and Damien will come off the bench. My gut says that Damien starts. I think that they said he should be fit. I think he was training last week from what I understand, but just didn't really want to risk him against Japan. So my gut says that he does start. And 48 votes, we're going to put in Kurtley Arons in that number 11 jersey. Now we're going to decide on the number 14 jersey. who starts at number 14. And your options are Cheslin Colby, as well as Caden Moody. Actually, is an option. Edville van der Merwe. Thing is, we didn't put him at center, as well as who am I missing here? Ethan Hooker. So you go start your poll, and that's our poll. I don't think we're going to see a DuPont shock. We might. It will be pretty cool in terms of adding a bit of flavor to it. He was there training, but my understanding is that he's got a 0% basically chance of playing and is not fit. I think he was just there probably for a bit of morale maybe, but obviously working on his fitness. Obviously, as the captain, for example, I see that he's also just signed a deal with Toulouse to basically make him the most pace player in the world up to 2031. It's a 6-year deal for him. I mean, why wouldn't you spend the money on that kind of player, really? Ricky says, to me, it feels weird that Damien is fit after a hamstring injury. Is it only a few weeks? It was probably not too bad. Yeah, I think that was the thing, though. I think it was a tweak. You know, I think it's one of those things you kind of feel it goes. You sort of say, and then you wake up the next day. And a hamstring, it is a strange thing because if your hamstring goes, and obviously that's a while, but sometimes you might just tweak it. It might just be overextended, for example, and sometimes, 3-4 days of rest is fine. But he would have played yesterday, would have been the Vercommerce mock game that they would have played at training. So as long as he came through that fine, he should be absolutely perfect. But I mean, basically, you'll do a whole bunch of sprints, stuff like that to prove your fitness from a hamstring injury. Kid Senecal says, Hook on Penno should be great, but I'll back Clark and Cheslin for this game. Well, Cheslin's got 83% of our 46 votes. So we're going to lock in Cheslin Colby at number 14. And then finally, our fullback. Well, it's not a lot of options left, is there? Who starts at fullback? Now, Rassie did say that Liebach is an option, and so we'll put him there as an option because otherwise we don't have any options. I suppose Edville van der Merwe has played there a couple of times for the Sharks, so we'll put him in there as well, just as an option. And we'll put Marnie Liebach. But I think this is going to be another 100% as we locked in. But yeah, anybody else locked in their picks? We had 10 people confirm that they've locked in their picks. Anybody else locked in their picks? There, as you can see, sign up on mypicks.app and go and get that sign up. Go and do your predictions. And lock in your score predictions as well. You've got to make sure our score predictions are in for this weekend. Join the various different leagues. I know Ubuntu Capital's giving away up to 500 Rand across November for the team prediction. So you can win $100 for absolutely nothing. And we're going to do a big push for future competitions to up those prizes. The one thing we want to try and do for the next for that greatest rivalry tour is put up like a 10,000 Rand cash prize if you can predict the first person to predict Rassie Erasmus's team correctly, which good luck. I think one person's done it the entire season so far. One person's predicted side down to the first 15, the entire 15. And it is slightly easier with getting 15 versus the 23, but it's not easy to do that. But we are looking to try and get some cash prizes and those types of things involved if you can do those things, run those sort of competitions. Zolide, they've also just locked in. Jean writes, our Springbok favourites. I think they're definitely the favourites, despite not being at home, number one side in the world, the way they're playing, France a few injuries. We definitely are favourites going into the match on Saturday. But not by much. Not by much. This is a very good French side. So we're going to put Damien Willemse in over there. And if you are on YouTube, then what you do is you lock in your picks over here once you've got your entire side. And so that gets locked in. By the way, if you would like, if you once you lock in your picks, you can't change unless you upgrade to premium, which is really not much. So we're just going to quickly download our team, and then I'll show you exactly what it looks like when you do lock in your picks, and we'll go through it, shall we, and have a look at exactly what they're cooking. So this is our side that we have picked. So you can see, generates a nice little image there for you, and it's got the team, for example, that we've picked. It says your name over there. So ours says for FS Communities. For example, when I did mine, it says Stevie P's starting 15. It's got the international friendly. For example, it's got the time there. It's got the team, so France versus South Africa, the Springbok team prediction. If you do your French one, and it says France team prediction, obviously. And if you've done your score prediction, by the way, it also actually shows your score prediction. So I'm going to now look at a couple of teams that were sent to us before. But in the meantime, let's just go look at our let's go look at our side here. And I also want to, and then we'll go look at some of the fan submissions that we have seen from the my pick. So yeah, if you want to know, even send me your team and let's go have a look, because we've got a fan submission earlier this week, sending in their team prediction. But if we look at our side, we've got Rassie Erasmus, we've got Malcolm Marx, Thomas Toy in the front row. We've then got Etzebeth Nokia as our two locks. A back row of Sirkalisi, Jasper Visa, Pierce Steph the Toy. Ryan Duxashin, Mazulu, Dale Lindy, Jessica Creel, Kurt Lawrence, Dave Williams, the Chosen Colby. I think the back line's pretty accurate. I've gone with that back line. That exact back line. Actually, no, I've gone with Moody, I think. I've been brave and gone with Moody. The changes to this team and to my team is I've got Thomas Toy at loose head, Wilco Low star tight head, and I've got Moody. And I think those are the only changes I've got from this team to my team. So they are changes. So we will definitely not get the same amount of points between us and the community at this stage. But let's have a look at somebody else's team, shall we? So this is one of our big usuals. Christian, who said his team early. The man was on it nice and early in the week. So he sent this team through. So, and you can see pretty similar to what we've just selected there. So the only difference between our team and Christian's team is that he went with Moody at 13. So it's amazing how I think certain selections are pretty similar to what everybody has at the moment. Some of them are different, but a lot of them are quite similar. So yeah, Christian's gone with very much. And I think that sort of shows you that a lot of the selections, as far as fans believe, are pretty locked on. It's the question is a couple of picks. So for example, you look at this team, and that's Christian's team versus this team, and ironically they've gone with the same team. So except for Grant Williams. So it's amazing how, even then they've got the exact same. So James and Christian have the exact same pack, but they've got a different scrum off. So that's how their team has differed. And if we look at this is Shaggy's team that was submitted, and they've converted Wilco Low to a tight head, but also it's nice to show you exactly how the if you've predicted your team, how it shows you your score prediction as well on your graphic. So there's the team that they've gone with, and also reasonably similar. They've got a Lord Yaga. But you see how then also shows your score prediction. So if you've locked in your score prediction, then when you generate that image, it does show your score prediction as well. So that is how my picks works. We've got our team. We have our team. Let's put our team back on here. And that's my team. There it is. There's the Fair Sports Community team. So that's what our team looks like at the moment. Based on that team, and Peter Stewart has confirmed that he is locked in, what would be your bench? Based on this team, what would your bench split be? Question mark. 6-2. So let's do 5-3, 6-2, 5-3, 6-2, or 7-1. Let's do the 5.5, 2.5. The whole Andre Esterhazen situation, and see what they're going to go with there. But let's do that as final poll, and then we'll wrap up. We've been going for over 45 minutes, so it's been a nice, cool show. And I am seeing a lot of you guys suddenly start to sign up and get involved in your predictions. We've had over 10 predictions so far just in the show in terms of team predictions that have been happening today. So if you have not, make sure you go and sign up, go and get your predictions locked in as we try and want to try to get as many predictions as possible and see what everybody's out there. And see what, and again, give me all your feedback. For example, we've got contact details on the website. Mail us, let us know what you think of the platform. If anything doesn't work as well, please let us know so we can know to go and fix that. This is the same platform we use for our player ratings, as well as our score prediction. We've got all the different leagues and stuff like that. So make sure you go and join the Forever Sports League as well. Yeah, at the moment, I just want to get 40 votes on that bench split, and then we're going to call it a day. So the Esther is in that 20. Is it a 6-2 or 5-3? I suppose it's technically a 6-2 because in theory, I suppose you've basically said that he's a flank. That's why I call the 5.5, 2.5 kind of vibe, because he's kind of not neither here nor there. So that's the one that always obviously makes it slightly confusing. But lock in what your bench split in, as 100 confirms that he's also locked in. fantastic to see so many people getting involved on that, and especially I think Ireland's going to be a very fun prediction to make. But actually, ironically, these are almost the boring ones to try and predict the team, because we kind of know 11, 12 odd players who are kind of locked in. Next weekend becomes fun. Because next weekend we're like, right, now what? Do we see Zach Portland again? Are we going to see Morne van den Berg? Are we going to see, are we going to see Ed van den Berve? Are we going to see Franklin Mostert? Are we going to see Ben Jason Dixon? I think we probably will, but on the bench or where he starts. So next week will probably actually be a lot more fun in terms of trying to predict which players will get chances against Italy and the likes of that. We're going to lock in that bench split. So everyone's reckons a 6-2 split. A 6-2 split. That's what everybody reckons. We're interested to see if we go with it. Anyway, people will be live later at 3 o'clock for the team announcement show. And at the end of the team announcement show, by the way, we will be doing a Q&A session at the end for our members. So please do consider becoming a member and becoming part of that Q&A. We will obviously push it a bit later so you guys can join it and ask some questions and the likes of that. Please smash a like on the video. Please do subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steve, and I'll chat to you.